secure and financially confident, the attacks on the royals will eventually stop. But launching an alcohol product on Princess Diana's birthday, it's not tone deaf. It's not tone deaf. It's incredibly insensitive.
Some of the packaging, I feel like, is profoundly cheap. There's one in particular thing that I'm like, wow, she really missed out on not doing this, because even the cheap stuff I have downstairs also has this branding trait, but Meghan went the cheap route.
Packs of 3, so that's $90 US to get her Napa Valley rosé. Now, apparently it's very nice. I'm sure it is lovely.
For years, celebrity brands have survived off big names, glossy photos, and fans willing to buy almost anything connected to a famous face. But by 2026, people are way more skeptical than they used to be. Audiences now check ingredients, compare prices, read labels, and look into who is actually behind these luxury products instead of just falling for a polished Instagram post. And honestly, that shift is starting to create some awkward situations for celebrities whose brands seem heavier on image than substance. That's exactly why Meghan Markle's newest business launch suddenly has people talking again.
She's now in the wine business, right? She's taking on Dan Murphy's, and she's but a lot more expensive, actually. Each bottle of this is $30.
Enjoy from Meghan! Oh my gosh!
She wrote that like.
Look at that! Can you guys see it? Enjoy from Meghan as ever. John,
I know you're nice. You don't like to make fun of people. How dumb is that name?
Earlier this year, Meghan introduced her rosé wine through her lifestyle brand As Ever, presenting it as this elegant, California-inspired luxury experience tied to the Montecito aesthetic she's been promoting for a while now. The rollout looked expensive, polished, and carefully curated. Soft colors, dreamy descriptions, and all the usual quiet luxury vibes were there. But once curious buyers started looking past the branding, a lot of questions started popping up almost immediately.
Feel financially solvent, the attacks will stop, but I think it's almost a tautology that they won't, because the only thing that really gives those two relevance is their animus and hatred of the royal family and whatever secrets they have to sell out. Hence, you see something like this.
People noticed there was barely any detailed information attached to the wine itself. The vineyard wasn't clearly highlighted, the grape blend details were limited, and there wasn't much discussion about the actual production side of the product. Online discussions quickly shifted from excitement to confusion because wine buyers in 2026 are not shopping the same way they did 10 years ago. A lot of consumers now expect transparency, especially when a product is being sold at a premium price point, and that's where Cameron Diaz unexpectedly entered the conversation. Because while Meghan's launch was being questioned online, many people started comparing it to Avaline, the wine company Cameron Diaz co-founded years earlier. The difference in approach instantly stood out to people paying attention.
What's the problem?
Jenny, do you have any problem with the use of the Duchess of Sussex? That's how she is advertising this. So you go onto the Instagram page and it says American Riviera Orchard by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Now, of course, she has a right to use that title, but isn't it a little bit jarring that perhaps she's launching something America-focused with the Duchess of Sussex right there? No? Nothing?
Cameron spent years publicly discussing the process behind her brand, including working directly with winemakers, focusing on organic production and explaining exactly what was inside the bottles. Avaline built part of its reputation around simplicity and transparency, which helped it grow far beyond just another celebrity side project. What really made the comparison awkward was the pricing conversation. A lot of people online pointed out that Meghan's rosé was positioned as a luxury purchase despite offering far less publicly available information about the actual wine itself. Meanwhile, Cameron's brand has been sold in major stores at more accessible prices while still giving buyers clear ingredient and sourcing details. That contrast became impossible to ignore once social media commentary channels started breaking everything down side by side. And to be fair, celebrity alcohol brands are everywhere now.
The fact that anyone that fact alone should have disqualified anyone any alcohol related product from launching on her birthday. I get frustrated when I even think about it because I think to somebody like you or I, that's common sense. And Meghan Markle has spent years aligning herself with Diana's legacy.
Actors, musicians, influencers, athletes, almost everybody has entered the market at this point. So simply launching a wine brand isn't unusual. But critics online started arguing that consumers are becoming less interested in celebrity status alone and more interested in whether the product actually feels authentic. That's the part some commentators believe may be hurting Meghan's rollout right now.
She's obsessed with the detail. This kind of move doesn't read as accidental. It reads as careless at best and cruel at worst.
Even some lifestyle and branding analysts reportedly questioned whether it's ever focused too heavily on aesthetic storytelling instead of building trust through product transparency first. In other words, some people felt like the image arrived before the foundation did. And the deeper online communities dug into the launch, the bigger the discussion became. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about one bottle of rosé anymore. The conversation started turning into something much larger about celebrity branding, public perception, and whether audiences are finally getting tired of expensive products built mostly around personal image instead of proven quality. What really pushed this whole situation into controversy territory was the growing feeling online that Meghan's wine launch focused way more on appearance than actual product detail, and in 2026, that approach can backfire fast. People are no longer blindly buying celebrity products just because the photos look expensive or the branding feels luxurious. Consumers now expect specifics, especially when brands market themselves as premium lifestyle experiences. That's why the questions around As Ever started multiplying almost immediately after the launch. Buyers and wine reviewers weren't just asking whether the rosé tasted good, they wanted the basics.
Nobody, and I mean nobody, works harder than the deep rangers when it comes to Meghan and her As Ever products. And nobody works harder than Aaron and whatever her name is, Gummy. So Meghan has just released her latest wine, Sauvignon Blanc. And of course, the deep rangers are all over it. And here's Aaron again, she's the cook expert. And she's talking about the wine coke. And then the good squaddies on Twitter, shout out to Thick Big Sis. She did the research and here's what she found. So it's normal practice, no big deal, nothing untoward at all. But of course, the Rangers and Gummy will always find something to gripe about. And all the while, unknown to them, hype and promote and market Meghan's As Ever products even more. So long may you continue to scrutinize, long may you continue to make Meghan popular and successful.
Where was it produced? What grapes were used? Who handled the winemaking process? Were there any organic certifications or sustainability details attached to it? Those are normal questions in today's wine market, especially for customers paying higher-end prices. But according to online discussions surrounding the launch, many people felt those details were surprisingly difficult to find. Instead, the product presentation leaned heavily into mood, aesthetics, and lifestyle imagery. There were elegant descriptions about flavor notes and California sunshine, but critics argued that the actual wine information felt limited compared to other celebrity-backed brands already on the market. That's where the Cameron Diaz comparison kept getting louder. Because while Meghan's rollout was being criticized for lacking transparency, Cameron's Avaline brand already had years of publicly available production information behind it. The company built part of its image around ingredient labeling, organic farming discussions, and direct communication about what consumers were actually drinking. That difference became a huge talking point online once people started comparing the two brands side by side. Some commentary creators even pointed out how different the packaging philosophies looked. Avaline's bottles were designed to emphasize information and simplicity, while Meghan's branding focused more on presentation and storytelling. Neither approach is automatically wrong, obviously, but online audiences quickly started debating which one felt more trustworthy.
Meghan Markle will release champagne? Champagne from France? Or is it going to be champagne from some random company that is non-labeled and Meghan is just going to slap her label on it? Yes.
Of information, regarding Catherine, Princess of Wales, and how she's doing.
Oh, yes. So, well, this source actually, I had explained to you that this source, the reason why I love this source is because they were the ones that told me last year.
Then the pricing conversation made things even more intense. Many social media users questioned why Meghan's rosé carried such a premium price point while still leaving so many unanswered questions about sourcing and production. Some critics argued that luxury pricing only works when buyers feel confident about quality, craftsmanship, or exclusivity. Otherwise, people start feeling like they're paying mostly for branding rather than substance. And once that perception starts online, it spreads fast. Commentary pages, lifestyle reviewers, and wine-focused creators began discussing the situation across TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, and other platforms throughout early 2026. Some reactions were exaggerated, of course, but the overall theme stayed pretty consistent. People wanted more transparency. One major point that kept resurfacing involved the wine's origin.
A murder conspiracy, affairs that were being generated online. 2 weeks later, it was announced from Catherine that she had cancer. So that's why I have so much confidence in this source. And then another one I wanted to bring up is somebody that reached out to me about us.
In the wine industry, sourcing matters a lot because region, climate, and grape variety all influence flavor and quality. Even affordable wines usually provide at least some production details on the label or company website. So when consumers couldn't easily identify those specifics with "as ever," speculation started building online about why that information seemed so limited. Now, to be clear, none of that automatically proves anything negative about the wine itself. There's no verified evidence suggesting the product was low quality or improperly made. But in branding terms, perception matters almost as much as the product. And some analysts believe the lack of clarity created unnecessary skepticism that could have been avoided with more upfront communication from the beginning. Things became even more awkward when online users noticed that Cameron Diaz was continuing to publicly showcase the production side of Avaline around the same time. Videos of vineyard visits, winemaking discussions, and behind-the-scenes clips started circulating again, and people naturally compared that openness to the quieter approach surrounding Meghan's launch.
Let's get to this royal stuff because it's fascinating, this exclusive information that you have been given out of Kensington Palace regarding Meghan Markle, the timing of the launch of her new wine, which is so basic, and just become a housewife already. Just become a housewife already. That's what they do. They start wine brands and then they branch out into other whatever. But apparently, so she has chosen a very specific date to launch, and apparently Prince William is none too happy about this.
Right. So I have a source that says Prince William was not impressed to read that Meghan was launching this alcohol product on Princess Diana's birthday. My source said, it's not lost on Prince William that Meghan has launched an alcohol brand on his mother's birthday, the very mom he lost in a drink driving tragedy. When I asked them if there was anger about Meghan using Diana's birthday to promote her commercial products, because this is not the first time she's done this. She hijacks royal events and important dates constantly. My source replied, it's what he's come to expect from her. He doesn't think much of her.
At that point, the story stopped being just about wine. It turned into a bigger conversation about celebrity branding itself and whether audiences in 2026 still have patience for products built mostly around image without deeper transparency behind them. What made Cameron Diaz's brand stand out to so many people wasn't just the product itself, it was the way she talked about it publicly. Over the past few years, Cameron repeatedly explained the production process behind Avaline, discussed ingredient transparency, and showed involvement with the actual winemaking side of the business. That gave the brand a more grounded image in the eyes of consumers who are tired of celebrities simply attaching their names to random products. By contrast, Meghan's launch started attracting criticism because many people felt the branding arrived before the product details did. And in today's market, that can become a problem very quickly. Consumers now expect celebrity founders to demonstrate at least some visible connection to the businesses they promote, especially when those products are positioned as luxury lifestyle items. Even some wine commentators pointed out that there simply wasn't enough publicly available information to properly evaluate as ever, the same way they could evaluate more transparent wine brands. Again, that doesn't automatically mean the product itself was bad, but it did create an awkward situation where discussions about the branding began overshadowing discussions about the wine. Then things got even more complicated once rumors about sourcing started spreading online. Around early 2026, several online commentary accounts began circulating claims from alleged industry insiders who suggested the wine may have come from larger-scale suppliers rather than a smaller boutique vineyard operation. Now, to be clear, none of those claims have been officially verified by Meghan's team or confirmed through public documentation. But the speculation gained traction fast because people were already questioning the lack of sourcing details in the first place. And honestly, perception is everything once internet speculation starts snowballing. Some critics argued that if the wine truly had a strong artisanal or luxury backstory, the brand likely would have highlighted it more aggressively from the beginning. Instead, the marketing leaned heavily toward lifestyle imagery and elegant wording rather than production transparency.
They also said they've, William and Catherine, been quite good at ignoring the Sussexes, but anything to do with his mother is still a tender spot. I want to stress the royal family actually does want Harry and Meghan to succeed in whatever they choose to do. The belief is if they feel secure and financially confident, the attacks on the royals will eventually stop. But launching an alcohol product on Princess Diana's birthday, it's not tone deaf. It's not tone deaf. It's incredibly insensitive.
That's a nice sentiment. The idea that if they feel successful or become successful, feel financially solvent, the attacks will stop. But I think it's almost a tautology that they won't, because the only thing that really gives those two relevance is their animus and hatred of the royal family and whatever secrets they have to sell out. Hence, you see something like this. A tasteless launch timed to Diana's birthday when she was killed in a drunk driving accident.
That opened the door for online theories about private label sourcing and large-scale manufacturing. One viral creator even compared the rollout to early 2000s celebrity perfume launches, where image often mattered more than the actual product behind it. Harsh comparison? Definitely. But clips like that started pulling huge engagement online because people love breaking down celebrity branding controversies. Another topic that fueled discussion involved reports that Meghan had allegedly been searching for executive leadership support around the same time the product launched. Some business commentators questioned why the company structure appeared to be scaling so quickly before consumers even fully understood the core product itself. Again, none of that proves wrongdoing or failure. Plenty of celebrity businesses hire executives early, but critics online interpreted it as another sign that the brand strategy may have been prioritized over product development. And while all this was happening, comparisons to Cameron Diaz kept getting stronger because Cameron's marketing style came across very differently. Instead of abstract branding language, Avaline focused more directly on ingredients, sourcing, and production philosophy. Consumers could clearly identify what made the brand different. That clarity helped create trust, even among people who normally roll their eyes at celebrity products. Meanwhile, online users began analyzing the wording used in Meghan's promotional materials more closely. Some branding commentators argued the descriptions sounded overly broad or overly polished, using phrases commonly seen across luxury lifestyle marketing campaigns. Terms like sun-kissed notes, bright citrus, and elegant floral tones became part of the conversation because critics felt the language described a mood more than a distinct wine identity. At that point, the internet basically split into two camps. Some people defended Meghan, saying celebrity brands always rely on aesthetics and storytelling to some degree. Others argued modern consumers expect more authenticity and transparency now than they did in the past. And once those debates started spreading across TikTok, YouTube commentary channels, Reddit threads, and lifestyle blogs, the launch stopped looking like a simple celebrity wine release. It started turning into a much bigger conversation about whether audiences are finally getting tired of branding first businesses that feel disconnected from the actual product itself.
Mediocre. Like I very much suspected, the premium you are paying for these products, which I feel like are overpriced, is simply because Meghan is a duchess. No other reason.
By this point, the conversation online had moved way beyond simple product criticism. What started as questions about pricing and branding slowly turned into a bigger debate about credibility itself. And honestly, that shift may have been the most damaging part of the entire rollout. One moment that really fueled the discussion happened when fans noticed a subtle social media post from Avaline's marketing side earlier in 2026. The message talked about transparency and trust in modern wine branding without mentioning Meghan or As Ever directly. But people online instantly connected the dots anyway. Comment sections filled up with comparisons between the two brands, and suddenly the internet started treating the situation like a full-on celebrity business showdown. At that point, audiences weren't just discussing wine anymore. They were debating authenticity, branding strategy, and whether celebrity image alone is still enough to sell premium products in 2026. And then things reportedly got even more awkward behind the scenes. Several online creators and influencers who had initially shown excitement about Meghan's launch appeared to quietly distance themselves from the product not long after the first wave of criticism started circulating. Some followers noticed deleted stories, removed reposts, and fewer mentions from lifestyle pages that had originally promoted the release. Now, to be fair, influencers remove content all the time for different reasons, so none of that automatically proves some giant coordinated fallout happened. But online speculation exploded anyway because the timing looked suspicious to people already following the controversy closely. One rumor that spread particularly fast involved claims that certain creators were allegedly advised not to answer detailed sourcing questions from followers. Again, that has never been publicly confirmed by Meghan's team, so it remains internet speculation. But the rumor itself added even more fuel to an already growing perception problem.
This is somebody that has previously worked for them that said...
For Harry and Meghan, you mean?
For Harry and Meghan, that said the domestic side is a bloodbath as well. We're not considering gardeners. We're not considering housekeepers. We're not considering nannies. We're not considering the staff at home.
And perception is brutal online once momentum starts moving in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, commentary pages and Reddit discussions kept dissecting every detail surrounding the launch. Some users began pointing out missing product information they expected to see on premium wine labels, while others argued people were overreacting and unfairly targeting Meghan because of her celebrity status. But even among supporters, you could see the tone slowly changing. Instead of confidently defending the product, many fans simply started asking for more clarity. Questions like, why not just explain the sourcing? Or why not be more transparent if the product is genuinely high quality? Started appearing more frequently across discussion threads. Then another wave of speculation hit after industry commentary accounts discussed rumors surrounding a celebrity wine label allegedly facing criticism over incomplete product disclosure practices. No official report directly named Meghan or As Ever, but online users immediately started connecting it back to the ongoing controversy anyway. And then came one of the biggest moments that really sent discussion channels into overdrive. A former wine consultant posted a vague but heavily discussed message online talking about walking away from projects that lacked authenticity and clear product identity. The person never publicly identified Meghan's brand specifically. But because the internet had already locked onto the As Ever conversation, many users assumed the post was connected somehow, even without concrete proof. That's important to remember here. A huge part of this controversy has been driven by online interpretation and public speculation, not official confirmations. But in the social media era, perception can sometimes become more powerful than facts themselves. And that's what made this situation so damaging from a branding perspective. For years, Meghan has carefully built an image centered around mindfulness, thoughtful living, wellness, and authenticity. That's been a major part of her public identity since stepping away from royal duties. So when audiences started questioning transparency around one of her newest lifestyle products, the criticism hit much harder than it would for a random celebrity cash grab brand. Because to critics online, this wasn't just about wine anymore. They believed the launch exposed a disconnect between the image being marketed and the level of openness consumers now expect from premium lifestyle brands in 2026. What really made this backlash grow so quickly was the contradiction people thought they were seeing between Meghan's public messaging and the way the Product launch was handled. Over the past several years, Meghan has often spoken publicly about authenticity, responsible media, mindful living, and the importance of honesty in public conversations. That image became a huge part of her post-royal identity after moving into the lifestyle and wellness space. So when consumers started asking basic questions about the As Ever rosé and felt like they weren't getting clear answers, critics immediately jumped on that disconnect. To a lot of online commentators, the issue stopped being about whether the wine itself was good or bad. Instead, it became about trust.
We've been reporting for the body count when it comes to Harry and Meghan's former staff in the last few years.
Kinsey, it's kind of like when there's a natural disaster and they can't locate the bodies, but they know there probably are not survivors among them. And they say, well, double the body count. That's kind of what this feels like.
People began arguing that if a brand is built around wellness, intentional living, and transparency, then consumers naturally expect openness about the products being sold under that image. And honestly, that's where things started getting uncomfortable for Meghan's supporters too. Because even many people who normally defend her online weren't necessarily attacking the wine itself. They were simply asking why the rollout felt so vague compared to other celebrity-owned brands already competing in the same space. Questions about sourcing, ingredients, production details, and certifications continued spreading across social media discussions throughout early 2026. Meanwhile, comparisons to Cameron Diaz only kept making the contrast sharper. A big reason Avaline gained credibility with consumers was because Cameron spent years building the brand around direct communication and visible involvement. The company openly discussed sourcing, labeling, organic standards, and partnerships within the wine industry. That helped the brand feel more grounded and product-focused rather than purely celebrity-focused. And that difference became impossible for online audiences to ignore. Some branding analysts even argued that Cameron approached the business more like an entrepreneur entering the wine market, while Meghan's launch came across more like a luxury lifestyle extension tied heavily to image and presentation. Fair or unfair, that became the dominant conversation online. Another problem for As Ever was timing. By 2026, audiences are much more skeptical of celebrity brands than they were a decade ago. Consumers now expect receipts, details, and transparency before spending premium prices. Pretty packaging and aspirational marketing alone just don't carry the same power anymore, especially in the wellness and food industries where people care more about sourcing and ingredients than ever before. That's why some critics believed the rollout underestimated how informed modern consumers have become. And while there's still no verified proof that anything improper happened with the wine itself, the lack of detailed communication allowed speculation to completely take over the narrative. Once the internet fills those gaps with theories, it becomes incredibly difficult for a brand to regain control of the conversation. At the same time, reports started circulating that some retailers were allegedly hesitant about wider product expansion until more clarity around the branding and sourcing became available. Again, those claims were never officially confirmed publicly by As Ever. But even the rumors alone added more pressure to an already difficult launch period. Influencer support also appeared noticeably quieter as the controversy continued growing online. Some creators simply stopped discussing the product altogether, while others shifted focus toward competing celebrity lifestyle brands that already had more established consumer trust.
Her abusing my word only, or mistreating, or scolding a household employee, whether it's a domestic employee or a member of the As Ever staff.
Right. So the tone is Prince Harry will step in.
Meanwhile, Cameron Diaz's Avaline continued benefiting from the comparison almost by accident. The more people debated Meghan's lack of transparency, the more Avaline's straightforward marketing approach started looking stronger in comparison. Suddenly, Cameron wasn't just being viewed as another celebrity with a wine label. Many online commentators started presenting her as an example of how celebrity brands should operate moving forward. And that may be the biggest problem Meghan faces now. Because this situation didn't just create criticism around one product launch. It created questions about the entire image and philosophy attached to the As Ever brand itself. And in the modern wellness market, once people start questioning authenticity, rebuilding that trust becomes way harder than launching the product in the first place. At the center of all this drama is one simple reality. Audiences in 2026 are way harder to convince than they used to be. Celebrity status alone doesn't automatically guarantee trust anymore, especially when people are being asked to spend premium prices on lifestyle products. Consumers want details, honesty, and proof that the person behind the brand is genuinely involved. And whether fair or unfair, a lot of people online felt As Ever didn't fully deliver that clarity during its launch. Now, obviously, Meghan Markle still has a loyal fan base, and there are plenty of people who believe the backlash became overblown. Some supporters argue critics were looking for reasons to attack the brand from the very beginning because of Meghan's public image and long-running controversies surrounding her and Prince Harry. And honestly, there's probably some truth to that too. Celebrity launches today often get judged way more aggressively than normal businesses. But even with that context, the bigger issue many commentators focused on was consistency. For years, Meghan's public identity has centered around thoughtful living, honesty, empowerment, and authenticity. So when consumers felt like basic product transparency was missing from the wine rollout, critics immediately saw that as a contradiction. Right or wrong, that perception became the real story. And once the internet decides the narrative, reversing it becomes incredibly difficult. Meanwhile, Diaz unexpectedly came out of this situation looking stronger than ever. Not because she attacked Meghan publicly or tried to create drama, but because her brand already had the kind of transparency people were demanding. Avaline's ingredient-focused marketing, sourcing discussions, and hands-on image suddenly became the perfect comparison point during the controversy. And honestly, that may be the biggest lesson from this whole situation. People today don't just buy products anymore. They buy trust. They buy consistency. They buy the feeling that the brand matches the message being sold to them. And when there's a gap between image and reality, social media notices fast. At the end of the day, this probably won't end Meghan's business ambitions. Celebrity brands survive controversy all the time. But this launch definitely created a conversation she likely didn't want attached to As Ever this early into the company's life. Instead of people talking mostly about the wine itself, the internet turned the entire rollout into a debate about authenticity, branding, and whether carefully curated luxury marketing still works in an era where audiences demand receipts for everything. And honestly, this whole story proves something important about celebrity culture in 2026. People are getting tired of polished mystery. They want transparency, involvement, and real substance behind the branding. Whether it's wine, skincare, fashion, or wellness products, audiences are paying attention now more than ever. But let me know what you think about all this drama. Was Meghan unfairly criticized, or do you think consumers had valid questions about the launch? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more celebrity news, controversies, and behind-the-scenes drama every week. Also, make sure you check out the next video popping up on your screen right now, because the latest